Hello and welcome everyone. We are live for the first kickoff of the Person Behind the Profile series. And today with me, I have Scotty Schindler. How are you, Scotty?
Good. I've just come in from a surf, and it was a good surf. I'm very happy.
Beautiful. How are the waves today? Good?
Yeah, we got this new swell from down south, but unless you're a surfer, I won't try and explain what that means, but it was good.
Nice one, nice one. So for those that are joining us, I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. Let us know where you are in the world. And today I'm really excited to dive in with you, Scotty. I know from what I follow from you on LinkedIn as well, this series is all about jumping into the actual person behind the profile and sort of diving into some little nuggets of wisdom that I know people in my network have. And one thing I really noticed about you, Scotty, is you're always posting these photos of you, with your feet up at the beach, but you also work. So what's all that about?
Well, actually, I refrained from posting as many photos as I could, but anyway, but that was such a good idea, the person behind the profile, Amy. Well done. Look, I do post a few photos, lifestyle photos, and it's not really deliberately. I actually don't mean to do it, but it must stand out. But the reality is, I did create a company. I did create a lifestyle, and I guess the results speak for themselves. So I've got no issues with showing people a few good photos from time to time.
Brilliant, brilliant. And we've got some people joining us. We've got Karen from the UK. Hi, Karen. Anad from Sydney. Nico, great to see you all coming in, which is awesome. So, Scotty, I love that. You and I have, we're both kind of beach people. We've grown up near the beach as well. This is probably a very Aussie interview for some people that are tuning in overseas. So for those that don't know you, can you give us like your 30-second elevator pitch, I guess? Like give us a little insight into you and what you do.
Well, what I do now is I'm basically a self-funded retiree. So I went on an entrepreneurial journey. I went through a midlife crisis when I was 27.
Yeah.
So in 2000, I decided to start a company. I went on an entrepreneurial journey with that. I successfully exited in 2018 and retired early, financially independent. And now what I do for fun is I coach people, I mentor people, I inspire and motivate people. And that keeps me interested because you do need some stimulation in your life. I mean, when you've been at such a high energy level for so long, you can't just stop.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I love about entrepreneurs as well. And a lot of the entrepreneurs I speak to is we do like to keep busy, and we do like to not get bored, and we do like a challenge. So I think that's awesome that you've been able to sort of set yourself up and then be able to live, a life on your terms now and give back to the business community as well by helping other entrepreneurs and other business owners that are probably more so at the start of their journeys and, really coming through. So how is it, when you look at entrepreneurship and when you look at like kind of the culture that we have, I see a lot of the time there's that real hustle culture where you have to be on all the time, you have to be working, you have to be, working till 3 a.m. Like, how do you sort of feel about that whole entrepreneur hustle culture?
Oh, look, I think it's very real. I mean, I think it's the fact of life. Unless you've got some sort of silver spoon, an entrepreneur has to do whatever it takes, right? And that's just the way it is. If you're coming from nothing and you want to get to something, you have to do whatever it takes. So I think it's very real. But the beautiful thing is that you do get to call the shots. So you do get to say, well, in a month's time, I'm going to have some time with the family. In another couple of months' time, I'm going to go to the snow. There's no one telling you can't. But when you get there, you're making some phone calls. You're jumping on a quick few Zooms. You're 3 a.m. in the morning up, catching up on things. And, hey, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's not an issue. People go, so I said, man, that's the reason why I did it. Yeah. I mean, I often say I worked till I was 70. I just did it in half the time.
That's great. I love that because I think, that is the beauty. I remember when I first jumped out from the corporate space and I went into entrepreneurship, it was so ingrained in me that you had to, be at work from 9 to 5. You had to sit at your desk the whole time. And then, I remember that first week jumping out in entrepreneurship and it was kind of just like, you felt like this little bit of release, and you were like, you know what, if I wanted to start work at 11 a.m. in the morning, I could, and then work till later on. It really didn't matter. Like you were calling the shots. So I think that's really great.
Yeah. And I mean, anyone ever asked me, should I start my own business? My answer is always yes. Yeah. But here's the caveat, right? So the best thing about having your own business is that you get paid what you're worth. So if you're worth it and you can prove it, you will get paid it. All right. So if you're worth it and can prove it, you get paid it. But the downside is if you start your own business and you're not going to do the things to prove it, You won't prove your worth and you won't get paid. So that's the caveat. If you are any good, well, man, just get out on your own and smash that thing out of the park. 5 or 10 years later, you're so much further ahead. But not if you're going to sleep in all day or, do nothing and expect things to happen. You have to now make all the things happen. Not just your job. You have to make all the things happen. And it's a completely different perspective.
Exactly. And it takes getting very, very uncomfortable in certain areas, like if you're not good at, if you're not good at finance and you've never had to do the finance side of things, you have to learn that. You have to do that in your own business. And, it's like the same aspect. There's so many different aspects to business. And, I love that, you have to put in the work. You can't just sit there and watch Netflix and expect your whole life to change overnight. And you have this perfect balance of a business and a life, right?
Or dare I say it, on LinkedIn all day.
Exactly.
You have to get some shit done, right?
Totally. You got to leverage your time, get in there purposefully, and then get out, which is great. So what are you seeing as like the biggest sort of challenges facing business owners and entrepreneurs right now? If you think about the world we're living in right now, what are you seeing as probably, one or two highlights of some of the big challenges out there for entrepreneurs and business owners?
I'm a massive believer there's never been a better time to succeed than now.
Yeah.
There's never been a better time to get knowledge, surround yourself with the right people, to create ideas and be able to get them off the ground with a global market. There's never been a better time, pandemic or no pandemic. It's irrelevant. 30 years ago, people said it was tough. 50 years ago, people said it was tough. 10 years' time, people are going to still say it's tough. It's always tough. It's not easy, right? The biggest challenges facing most people nowadays, it's a popularity contest rather than a product contest. Being popular on social media is more important than getting a solid product and some solid clients and some solid profits in the bank. It's more about profiles and more about likes, which I, sure, it's a bit of an ego thing, but I think that is actually a false positive for a lot of people. They think the business is going good because they're popular. Well, I couldn't give a rat's about how popular you are. Are you making money? You're banking your money? Are you getting all the things you want out of your business? Well, then you've got a great business. Who cares? There's 8 billion people in this world. Who cares what all those people think? Totally. It's really, are you managing to make your business work? So there's some weaknesses around at the moment in our culture, our entrepreneurial culture, that you sort of have to be popular to be considered an entrepreneur. And that's 100% not the case. You can be an underground entrepreneur smashing it out of the park and no one even knows your name. And that's just awesome.
Exactly. I find I'd love to hear from people that are listening to this as well. Like, what do you think? Do you have to, have this huge, big audience to be an entrepreneur, or do you have to be like, Scotty, and you can be that undercover entrepreneur that no one knows about? I'd love to hear your thoughts in terms of, which side of the spectrum you think things swing to. And I think you're exactly right, Scotty, in that there's strategies to become famous, and then there's strategies to actually leverage social media to get a real return for your business. And so I think there's a real fine line there. So I absolutely love that too. So in terms of like, when it comes to kind of the traits that you see most successful entrepreneurs having, would you say there's like one or two maybe top characteristics or even behaviors that successful entrepreneurs adopt that makes them, be able to have that business and that life balance and make it all work together?
Yeah, that's right. We're talking life balance, aren't we?
Well, it is all hustle for a while, and then you've got to systemize and scale and get things in place. Otherwise, you end up not being a real human, are you?
It was the reason why I got into business, was to create balance. So I'm a massive fan of strive for healthy, wealthy, and wise. It's got to get that huge balance. But at the same time, I wanted to be an entrepreneur because there's no way in the world working 38 hours a week for 48 weeks a year, 1,800 hours a year for me was ever going to cut it, right? There was no way. I worked 80 hours a week, so I didn't have to work 40. I wanted to work as many as I could. I wanted to work smarter, and I did a lot of smart things, but take all that out of it. So when it comes to balance in life.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, but when you're doing something that you're actually passionate about, when you're solving problems that you're actually really helping people with, it's not hard to just quote unquote work, right? Because it doesn't feel like work a lot of the time.
No, and so some of the traits of an entrepreneur is they're super focused, right? They don't care what anyone else thinks. If they believe in what is right and they believe it can work, they just go and make it happen. And they're prepared to pivot and change and stick to a trajectory and not quit and not listen to anyone. They're willing to make mistakes and willing to fix it up and move forward. they're a bit more less worried about what everyone else is thinking, more worried about, is it working or not? If it's not working, I'm going to change it. If it's working, I'm going to do more of it. Pretty simple stuff. I mean, they just get in and get shit done. And that's one of the biggest things about an entrepreneur mindset. If you've got to motivate an entrepreneur, they're probably not that much of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs don't have to be that motivated. They just have that inbuilt inside them. And whether that's because they've had 10, 20, 30 years in the corporate world, now it's their turn, or whether they've had adversity, whether it's just natural instinct, I'm not sure. But all entrepreneurs don't need motivating. They just get in and get stuff done.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it was Mel Robbins as well that said, like, if you're sitting there waiting for motivation to just come and hit you one day, it's never going to happen. You have to just have that innate motivation to just keep on going. And, some days you don't feel like it. Some days you do. Like, you just have to keep going. And like you said, those entrepreneurs that are successful, they just know that. And they just, focus in, like you said, and just go after what they want.
Yeah. And they're not embarrassed. So if you talk about life balance, they're not embarrassed to, if they want to reward themselves with a car, they'll go and buy the car they want. They're not embarrassed to go on that holiday with the family because they've done all those hours. They're not embarrassed about getting that life balance. They're actually proud of it. And some people don't get it. And that's not really an entrepreneur's problem. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But once you start to get the momentum as an entrepreneur and you start to get the business really getting to a position where it's working and all the systems are in place and it's profitable, it's manageable, it's sustainable, and you're starting to get some rewards, everyone says, oh, gee, you've got it easy. Well, you didn't see all the midnight shifts. You didn't see when there was no money coming in. You didn't see my 5 or 6 attempts to get it to here in the first place. And all of a sudden everyone says, gee, you got it good. But no, it wasn't always good. Some of us have business scars, like I've got no hair.
Good one. It's those quote unquote overnight success stories, right, that we just hear in the media. And I think there's such a romanticized view around entrepreneurship, and that it's all going to be unicorns and rainbows sometimes. And like you said, you can get to that place. Absolutely. Like, when you've got the right business model, you've got the right people around you, the right mentors, advisors to help you get there, you can actually get there. But, there is those sleepless nights. There is, all the real stuff that happens when you are an entrepreneur. So,
yeah. And there's a bit of a gray area between entrepreneur and business owner. And some people get into business, they just want to own a business and be in control. Yeah. And an entrepreneur is different to that. An entrepreneur is someone who's really aggressively trying to grow the business, really trying to think laterally about, what can I do to scale up? What can I do to expand? What can I do to grow? It is a different mindset. It's a bit like if I use surfing as an analogy. There's people that just go free surfing and enjoy the beach, and there's people that want to compete. So in the business world, there's people who want to go into business, and then there's people who want to compete. There's entrepreneurs of the world, and they want to be trailblazers and lead from the front. Not everyone wants to do that. It doesn't mean I think you can have a great business, create a great lifestyle, and never ever need to be called an entrepreneur in your life. You can create everything you want. So it's much better to say, no, I'm just a really good business owner, and stop measuring yourself against some of the others, and just make your business sustainable, manageable, and profitable, and get everything you want, so you balance your life. You don't have to get, torn out by bad ego trips when someone else looks more successful. Who cares?
Oh, it's so true. I think we play such a comparison game, in the world of social media, and everything's sort of thrown in our face these days. Like, as long as you're running your own race and you're doing, what's right for you, I think that's, winning. Everyone has their own different definitions of success, but, that success in my eyes is winning according to you.
Well, yeah, what's your definition of success? Define that, and then create the business and lifestyle you want around that.
Exactly.
Pretty simple formula,
Yeah, done. We've nailed it in 15
That's
minutes.
it. I'm now your life coach, am I? There you go.
Well, that's great. We've got Darshan who has made a comment saying passion keeps us going, which is great. And he said 100% true as well. We've got someone else that says accomplishment without effort is harder than being pooped on by a pigeon. That is the best. Keep them coming, guys. Scotty, this has been great. I've absolutely loved it. These people behind the profile series interviews, we're going to keep them short. We're going to keep them no fluff. We give people a little bit, and then, where can people connect with you, obviously, moving forward, if they want to tap into some of that wisdom that you've just dropped in with us today?
Oh, well, look, to be honest with you, I've created over 200 videos on systems people can use in their business, whether it's sales, leadership, business. and I'm halfway through, so I haven't finished yet. And you can log in and do all that for free, right? I just give it away because I was putting it all on social media anyway. But I created System 1357. People can log in, they can watch it. It costs them nothing. I'm not there to sell them anything. And people do all day log in and watch those videos. So that's the best thing. Go into system1357.com, log in, watch some of the videos, watch some of the workshop replays, and really get all that knowledge. And it's free, right? It's all there. Go and tap into it.
Perfect. And you're obviously on LinkedIn as well, which is great too.
LinkedIn.
So go and connect with Scotty. Guys, this has been awesome. Scotty, I've really enjoyed having you on for the Person Behind the Profile series. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys some of my hand-picked guests from my network each and every week to come in, drop in and drop some of their specific wisdom, and so you can get to know them a little bit. So this has been great, Scotty. If you're listening to the replay, pop hashtag replay down below so I know. And I really look forward to catching you guys on the next one. Thanks, Scotty.
No worries, Amy.